is Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla, and as you know, if you listen to the show regularly, I have a lot of ways to describe this next guest. We call him a superstar congressman from the 19th Congressional District of Florida. It's pound for pound the best sports handicapper we have on this show. He was in the House Speaker mix last week, and then yesterday I was watching him on TV talk about the possibility of being Donald Trump's vice president. Joining us now on the show, this is like Fletch, the old movie with Chevy Chase. The guy does it all. It's Byron Donalds back on the show. Hey, man.
Jimmy, what's up? Fletch? Man, that's... Wow,
you're
I
beyond
didn't think you were going to bring that one up.
No, you're beyond Fletch. This is the thing now.
I've been doing a lot.
No,
There's a lot been going on.
Dude, you're doing it all. But, you know, we used to say you were like a defensive end, at Florida State, you're big beast, but you're playing a lot of positions. Now you're like the Cordell / Stewart, I think is more apropos. Remember Slash on the Steelers who played every position?
I remember, man, because he used to do a lot. Wide receiver. They could put him out, play some DB. Yep. Obviously, quarterback. Yeah, Cordell could do a lot.
So maybe you are the / Stewart. Maybe the / Stewart of Congress right now. Is that fair?
Man, I don't know, man. Honestly, it's just about just getting the job done. So whatever it calls for, Jimmy, that's what I'm here to do.
Well, listen,
utility player. Maybe I'm, like a, old school, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds.
Whoa!
Whatever you need to do.
I just love that
Barry Bonds used to play all over the field.
No, but he did all kinds of things. Barry Bonds. He used to play all over the pharmacist's office too. No. We don't want to talk about that. Fair.
No.
Okay, we'll play some defense. But let's talk about this, man. So last week you were right in the middle of that House mix for a minute. Were you satisfied with the end result? I know it wasn't you. That wasn't my first choice. I actually threw you a nice post on Twitter when I saw your name drop into the hat there. But are we happy as a House with Mike Johnson?
Yeah, very happy actually. Mike Johnson is going to be great. Mm-hmm. But what you get with him is somebody who is a constitutionalist. Mm-hmm. He is fully supportive of our principles. That's how he came into politics. Mm-hmm. But he also has a humble spirit about him. I think now in politics, a lot of guys are flashy. A lot of guys come in with, bravado and things of that nature. And that's not Mike. I think even people saw that from, his speech accepting the vote as becoming Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. He's just a humble individual. Family first man, God first man, cares about this country deeply, but is humble, is willing to talk with everybody, willing to engage on policy, not really politics per se. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a welcome change, and it's going to be a good step in the right direction for the Speaker's office. Okay, well, I think a lot of people were encouraged initially by something we saw him talking about over the weekend, which was a standalone bill in terms of funding the war in Israel or whatever aid we're sending over that way. Can we take that as a sign that this is a direction the House is going to go in under his leadership? Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was just on a call about half hour ago, 30 minutes ago, so, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Was the Israel package is going to come to the House floor this week, standalone. It's not going to be thrown in with a bunch of other stuff. We are going to pay for that. We're not just going to go borrow the money because this is the business side of this interview, Jimmy. Janet Yellen's having a hard time borrowing funds in the open market for the United States government. It's becoming very expensive. Yeah. So in Congress, these supplemental items that the president may want to do, we're going to pay for those. Yeah. We're not going to allow them to keep all of their Green New Deal stuff that they did to the tune of $1 trillion. Yeah. And then go borrow money to help our ally Israel. We're not going to do that. Yeah, that's bananas. We're talking to Byron Donalds from the 19th Congressional District of Florida. I mean, when you're $33 trillion in debt, like at some point you have to play defense, And sadly, what I think has happened, and you might get this analogy, but in your younger single days, you always had that group of friends that wanted to send a round of drinks over to some girls, but those friends never had their wallets on them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's the left. That's been a lot of the big government spending in Washington. We have a lot of pie-in-the-sky ideas that we think are great ideas, but when it comes time to pay for them, nobody has their wallet on them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. They love buying drinks with other people's money. They enjoy that. There's like Jimmy Fallon is the one with the open tab, and the Dems are there to spend your money, Jimmy. That's just the way it is. Well, look, we're not going to do that. We understand that you can't just take people's money to fulfill your own political wishes. We're going to be responsible with that, and I think with Mike Johnson now being Speaker of the House, there's a commitment there that we're not going to play the old games. We're not going to just do these gimmicky pay-fors that they sound good when you talk about them, but in reality, it goes nowhere. We're done with that. And so that's why I'm happy for him. That's why I'm happy for the House.
Oh, that's a win. And let's not act like it's the end of your media persona. I'm watching a report yesterday. I believe Maria was asking you about possibly being on Trump's VP list. Like, what I mean, you got action, man.
I mean, yeah, Maria put me on the spot with that one. I didn't expect her to ask me. But look, man, that's something that's not in my control. President Trump's going to make that decision. And whatever decision he makes, I'm going to support it. It's about the country.
Yep.
So, don't really have news on that one.
Well, and maybe you don't have news, but I mean, when you watch who's currently doing the gig, do you ever, like, this happens to me. Like, sometimes as a comic, you're watching other acts perform in bigger roles than the one you're in. And, you make a value judgment as you're sitting there on the couch, like, could I or couldn't I do that job? Do you ever watch Kamala Harris and feel like you couldn't do the job of VP?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm watching her, man. Shoot, anybody could do that job, Jimmy. I mean, she's just not good at it. Let's just be, first and foremost, she's not good at it. And then number two, and more importantly, somebody in that White House has got to say we got to reverse course. Yeah. Like, it's got to be somebody. And right now, the way it appears is that everybody is content to go along with the crazy. And that's just not me. I think, she is doing a real disservice to the country. And, I'm not a Democrat, but she's doing a disservice to her party. Because I think voters looking around being like, dang, number one is terrible, number two is terrible. This is all we got as a party? This don't look good.
This is the problem. I'm laughing. We were watching, she was on 60 Minutes last night, and she was asked the question as to why they're not popular. She's like, how come, this administration isn't polling well? And she said it's a messaging problem. She said people just don't understand how much good they've done for them. But
come on, Jimmy, Jimmy, stop. That's like post game. A team loses badly. You ask the quarterback and the tight end. This is not the Kansas City Chiefs because they're actually good, even though they looked bad yesterday. But that's all right. They'll turn it around. But you ask the quarterback and the tight end, hey, you guys aren't playing well. Why do people think that you guys suck? And they say, oh, it's because we wore the wrong socks today. Our cleats didn't look flashy. No, it's because you can't play. It's because you suck at this and everybody knows it. That's why you're not polling well, because you're bad at your jobs. Yeah. But she can't say that. That's something I could say, Jimmy. Yeah. Maybe Leslie Stahl. Is she still doing 60 Minutes? I don't know. I don't really watch 60 Minutes. She could ask me. I will tell her that.
You'd level with her. You'd say,
of course.
Because this is the kind of team right now that loses 40-0. And they say the problem is they didn't drive an electric bus to the game. And it's all agenda.
Jimmy, is terrible. Every policy set is terrible. We've abandoned 4 embassies under Joe Biden's presidency. Yep. I don't know if people know this.
Yep.
4 embassies have been abandoned under his presidencies. That's god awful.
Yeah.
That's never happened to an American president. It's happened under Joe Biden. He's the worst. He's got to be replaced. It's that simple.
No, I agree. We're talking to Byron Donalds. I mean, when you see things like what's going on at the colleges and up here in New York, I mean, Cornell had one over the weekend where, the kids at the Jewish Student Union are being told to stay home because it's not safe to go. Brooklyn, they had to flood Brooklyn for Gaza over the weekend where they were telling Jewish people to avoid their neighborhood in Crown Heights. Like, that doesn't sound like a country that's practicing religious freedom. But what's funny is we were told the last go round that when Biden was running for president, we were engaged in a battle for the soul of our nation because, according to Biden, racism had gotten out of control under Trump. But I've actually never seen this level of open racism under any president in my lifetime. Have you?
No, I have not. And I think this demonstrates where the radical left is taking this country. For the radical left, they're allowed to yell at people, tell people to stay indoors. They're allowed to burn property. And that's all in support of free speech. That's crazy to me. Yeah. And so Jewish people in our country should not have to stay indoors or not have to be quiet about who they are because of fears of the radical left. Are you kidding me? Yeah. First, the second thing, and let's also be clear about this. Most of these people on the radical left, they are are soft as tissue paper. Can we acknowledge something? Because these are the same people who will say, "Oh, well, we can't have you go into the Hamas tunnels and obliterate Hamas. That's not right. We need a ceasefire. You are weak."
Yep.
And so I would tell Jewish people in our country, do not shy away from these people. They like to talk tough. They like to be loud. They obviously love social media. You stand toe-to-toe with these fools, they will fall back because they exhibit weakness all the time.
Oh, it's so true, man. And that's the part that drives me crazy, is this is the side that brought us like safe spaces and all the emotional bubble wrap they put around college campuses. Like, as a comedian, the list of words and things they don't want you to say is longer than your act. You know, you perform for 45 minutes, but there's an hour and a half before that where they tell you what's off limits. And now they're just screaming about, supporting a terror group. It's crazy.
Jimmy, they only like to be loud when they're in large groups.
Oh, so well.
And when you stand up to their group, they start shutting up.
Yeah, they don't want this.
I remember I was in Philadelphia for a Moms for Liberty event, and we pulled up, and they had a protest in front of the hotel, and we're pulling up because we had just left President Trump, and I'm in the van with a lot of the media people, and my wife is with me, and the guy pulled up to the street, and the protesters tried to stop the van from going to the hotel. So you know me, Jimmy, I'm thinking, we'll open the door. Shoot, that means it's time for me to walk through. My wife is like, no, don't do that. We're in here with the press. Don't do that. I said, why not? These people don't scare me. I'm not going to be intimidated by these fools. No. I'm not.
No. Listen.
So I think Americans need to understand, you got to stand up to this foolishness. The only way you deal with these people, you stand toe-to-toe with them, and you do not flinch.
No, listen, man, you're right, because it's the only thing they respect and understand is strength. Like, they've gotten as vocal as they have because people have allowed them to get vocal. And I think that's part of the problem on the world stage, man. We're not projecting strength. We were supposed to be the team nobody wants to play. And right now, people are trying to schedule us as their homecoming opponent.
Oh, my. That's so bad, but it's true. You know how that's true? Because Joe Biden goes over to Israel, and these other nations tell him, hey, man, I know we were supposed to meet, but nah, I don't want to meet no more. I'll see you later. Don't call me. We'll call you. That's the message they're giving Joe Biden. And it's so disrespectful. And it's terrible that we're in this position. But this is where strength in leadership really matters. Now, let me give you the public service announcement for this interview, Jimmy. I do not condone violence. I think violence is wrong.
Fair.
I do. I think it's wrong. We should not promote violence. However, if violence is perpetrated upon you from a nation-state perspective, whether it's Israel or us in the United States, we have a responsibility and a duty to respond. Because if you do not, all you're going to do is invite more of it.
Thank you.
Conversely, for the American people, if you see these silly little college protesters who don't even know what they're talking about because they're too young and they're immature and they've not lived life, and you see them yelling and screaming, don't run away from them. Go about your business and go where you're going. Do not physically engage them. This is all the public service announcement, Jimmy.
I get it. This is legal speaking now. I get it.
This is legal. We're being responsible citizens. But if one of these fools puts their hands on you, you do have a responsibility to protect yourself. I'm gonna leave it at that, Jimmy.
I think it was very well said. In addition to being a speaker candidate, a guy on a short list for VP, a star handicapper, you're also a phenomenal life coach, BD. We will leave it there. Thanks for living up to your billing as always. Okay, brother.
Appreciate it, Jimmy. Take it easy.
There he goes, the great Byron Donalds, telling you exactly like it is, man. And it's a phenomenal life coach. If these idiots are going to attack us and our allies, we have a responsibility to the world to respond. Just the same as if someone's going to go hit you with a sign on the way home. Okay, that's the reality of right now. Okay, we've emboldened a lot of people who, to be honest with you, aren't tough, but they're certainly willing to act like it.
Are you threatening me, sir?
Every day they are. But the one thing they'll respect every time is if you tell each and every one of them to off. Lincoln Failla joins us next.
Don't go anywhere. Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla. We'll be right back.